OPPD has announced the first two winners of its new Greener Together program. The program gives people a voice in choosing green projects in the community that they would like to see supported.
Laura Samble shows us the projects chosen for funding.
In the Greener Together program, OPPD community members pay a small monthly fee. That money goes toward green projects voted on and chosen by the program's members.
First up, Whispering Roots awarded $50,000 to work with students in 10 urban schools in Omaha on sustainability, STEM, and agriculture. Greg Fripp, founder and CEO of Whispering Roots, says he's honored.
There's so many people doing such great work. I mean, to be recognized by the community, to receive the votes, to earn the grant was something that's just very exciting.
Fripp says the students will build raised garden beds similar to these using plastic, which would normally go into landfills. Schools already chosen for the project include Howard Kennedy Elementary School and King Science Magnet Middle School, both in North Omaha.
And a lot of the kids that we deal with in underserved communities don't get an opportunity to work with different types of materials, to work with agriculture, or to tie those things together. So it's important for us to get into these communities and allow these kids to experience something that they otherwise might not see.
Next, Habitat for Humanity in Omaha awarded $80,000 to help reduce utility bills for low-income households. The pilot project will provide access to solar energy systems for homeowners who would otherwise not be able to afford it. Britton Gable with OPPD says so far, the Greener Together program is off to a good start.
It's a simple way to invest in initiatives throughout the community to make a difference,
giving members a voice and a chance to be a part of change. On your side in Omaha, Laura Samble, 6 News.
Nearly 5,000 OPPD customers have signed up for the Greener Together program. The next window for submitting project applications opens this Wednesday.